Hello, everybody. It is Black Friday. A lot of shoppers have been out. Are you one of them? Or did you already go out and are already back home now? Taking a bit of a breather. Sometimes you got to do that. You got to go into a pit stop for a while, rest, change clothes, change to your next outfit, to the next store. There's a whole procedure to it, apparently. Some of the diehard fans, right? Renee, you saw you're decorating. Well, if you're going to be decorating, make sure to send in your photos to the Wave Weather app because, again, I still need some photos for the good photo of the day when we get back on routine with that starting Monday. So we air them at 3 o'clock in the afternoons. I will let you know if yours is picked. I never try to tell you in advance. You got to watch to find out. Crispy says, no, I'm at work. No shopping today. No shopping today. Hey, I get that. I'm at work too. So I've been trying to virtual shop when I can, but I always get distracted. Something else happens in like 2 seconds. Usually it's a weather model, and then I'm all thrown off. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm waiting for you to Rogers Brian. Good. Happy Friday. Yeah, now it's getting serious, right? Now we're really getting into the Christmas holiday here, and a lot to track into the coming weeks, as this is one of the more cooler and colder setups in December and a favorable setup for snow that we've had really in a while, not in a long time. And I've seen better, but this is a good one. So I don't want to get downplayed. I think it's going to be an impressive ride here to see how it all turns out. We'll look back on this later. Let's wait until June, and we'll look back on this and say, how did that turn out? As expected, or was it a winter full of surprises? Ooh, it's always the fun part. Okay, so hope you had a good Thanksgiving first off and had a chance to rest. It wasn't that bad of a day, right? It was just cold. Still cold out there, but no big systems in the area. So let's get right into the snowboard, and I'm going to dive right into the modeling. The snowboard itself, still about the same. Brief snow setup for tomorrow, going to rain. An update on where we stand on that setup. The flurries for tomorrow or Sunday night, I did remove. I wanted them on there yesterday to bring awareness to it, but I don't think it's really a big item to worry about. Just something we'll watch when the system leaves us on Sunday. How much backlash moisture, especially from some of the moisture off of Lake Michigan, can sneak in for some what we call streamers, areas of light snow that can flow in. So that's possible, because we will be below freezing, and those can be very, very sneaky. So we'll be monitoring that. And then obviously we got Monday night and Tuesday, that we are gearing up for to see how that will play out. And then, yes, another chance to get some snow Friday or Saturday. We'll see. Sorry, my voice is struggling here this week. So so far it's held on. I only have to get through the blog and the 11 o'clock news today, and then I don't have to talk at all for like 3 days. I can get there. But this is probably going to take a lot out of me, because there's a lot to talk about. But I'm excited at the same time. It's always going to be fun. All right, so let's get into short term. Let's do that. Here are all the shoppers. Did the camera freeze up on me? Oh, I was afraid that was going to happen. Oh, I'm sure Engineer LA is probably watching. We run into an issue with bandwidth a lot at the Shops of Bluegrass. Once we get to a point where there's too many people on their phones, and it starts to take down and drain the internet signal that our camera feeds on. So I think that likely has happened, because that was like sunrise still, but it's the same idea. Oh, wait, did it update? Maybe a baby update. Maybe little pieces of data are trying to get through. It was the Nike store again, right here. They make you line up here, though, next to the food court. And as people leave, then they allow the line to go on and continue into the store. Groups like 4 or 5 at a time. And it's been that way all morning. So pretty interesting to see the organized chaos, if you will. It's been that way several years, probably 8 years I can think of, that I remember just seeing that be the process. And I can't tell the store is way in a distance there, but either way, it's been busy for sure. And Nike, once again, I think probably took the lead there. Anybody see an amazing deal that you don't mind sharing with us on chat? I promise I'm not going to tell anybody. But if it's a really good deal and there's still enough left and I need to go get it, then let me know. And don't worry, the other people on the blog right now, they're not listening. They're not listening. They're not paying attention. Let's see. What do we get? What do we get? Is your dog a silky terrier? No, W is a Yorkie poo. So Yorkshire Terrier mixed with poodle. He has more of the Yorkie in him. His sister is with my mom, and she looks more like the poodle side. And they do not get along. It's really, I guess, true sibling rivalry, right? CK's cooking dinner. Let's see. No deals. I haven't known. Are y'all just afraid to say what you saw in the stores? That's fair. All right. I don't want to ruin your moment in case you need to go back and get it. I've been hearing a lot about, let's see, kitchen appliances, a lot of sweaters that have been on sale that everyone's been excited about. Some of the toys as well, appliances, your typical stuff, right? Yeah, there you go. Appliances have been showing up more and more. Anyway, we'll see. I'm going to try to venture out maybe later today. It won't be too bad later in the afternoon. So if you see me and I'm dressed in a hoodie and I'm wearing sunglasses and it's nighttime, that means I'm trying to be incognito, trying to get in and out of the store. You can still say hi to me. Just kind of wink like, I know it's you. That's fine. I can handle that. All right, so let's my voice is dying here. All right, so let's get into the temperature outside. 27 right now in Louisville, 28 into Jeffersonville. We got 28 down in Columbia. Yeah, cold, frozen solid, right, in the area today. So we're going to get a few hours above freezing, and that's about it. And just as we get into tonight, mainly clear, but then the clouds from the snow will begin to already showing up in the plains will begin to shriek to our area by the time we get into early on Saturday. Look how massive these winter alerts are for this system. This is going to be an impressive one. The first one for a lot of the Midwest to test out driving skills and impact here, and it's on a holiday weekend. So if you, just by looking at this, if you know anyone's traveling through this area that I've highlighted or flying to some of the cities near here, so St. Louis, Chicago, Omaha, Twin Cities, maybe Indianapolis. If there's going to be any type of delays, it may be found in that zone, but this is heading east, northeast, not due east. So this is not heading right into New York. It's going to aim more into Canada from here on point, but still just take note if you're traveling there or have friends or family coming back from that area, that's where troubles on the roads will continue to be an issue. All right, no alerts here locally. We got the winter storm watch that's out for Indianapolis area and points north. Could they issue a winter weather advisory on the southern side of that watch or change the watch to an advisory? I don't know. They may make that call as early as today. Got to feel them to wait till tomorrow morning because this one's been, all the decisions have been last minute with this one because there's so many little, as you're about to see, still some differences here. But the southern edge typically goes into advisory level setup, so that may likely be somewhere around here. But there is a chance, if even Louisville, if the Weather Service in Louisville feels that if the snow that moves in can accumulate enough slush and low visibility for longer than just a few minutes, like a couple of hours or more, then they may issue a short fuse winter weather advisory to cover the impact of it falling. And then as soon as it ends and goes to rain, they would cancel the winter weather advisory. That wouldn't surprise me. They've done that before. So don't be alarmed if you get a winter weather advisory that shows up on your phone later today and you're like, what's that for? It would be an indicator that the cautionary step was made to cover those that may be driving in that slushy mess for a few hours. But no doubt, still the worst is looking north of our area. I have not seen a signal that takes a foot of snow and brings it right over Kentucky. That's not going to happen. This system is going north. It's just all about the leading edge of the moisture that sneaks in before it makes that turn. How much of that is snow versus, well, nothing. I don't think it's going to be rain. It would be too cold still, too much dry air. So it'd be snow or nothing for the first 5-6 hours of the system moving in town. And then after that, it should be rain. All right, so no alerts for the area. So here's what I'm going to do. Make sure I got the stack right. Okay, I'm going to show you two different high-res models idea. Now that high-res is getting a little bit of a better look at the system, now it's time to start discussing what it is showing. And that's fun to do when you get close into the event. We'll start with our in-house graph model. And it's starting for right now, midday here Friday. The the blue line is the 32-degree line at the surface. All right, not aloft, not the rain snow line. This is 32 or lower at the surface level that the model has plotted. All right, so let's advance this. Here we are tonight. Obviously, the freezing line has gone way to the west of us, so we're all on the other side of it, which means we're all below freezing in west of wave country. Okay, that's fair. You know that's coming. All right, we get into tomorrow morning. Now we get into the tricky spot because now the moisture is beginning to roll in. The freezing line, very ragged through the Ohio River Valley into Illinois, but it's there. And there's the moisture increasing. This right here likely is just flurries or may not even be reaching the ground in Indianapolis that early in the day at 10 a.m. It could be that far north, but what it does is it indicates that moisture is being thrown into the dry air, but a lot of it will evaporate. So when you look at the wave radar on the wave app, you may see several areas of green or blue showing up, indicating snow's over you, but you're looking out the window like, I just don't see it. And the reason why you don't is that the air outside ate that poor little snowflake alive before it even got down below the tree line to where you could see it. So the dry air is going to do a number on the leading edge of this. But eventually, as the system gets closer, the dry air caves in to the more humid air that moves in, and then you start to see flurries a little more often. Like, oh, that's pretty. And then all of a sudden, the flakes get a little bigger. And like, oh, wait a minute, something's wrong. The forecast is gone off track. It's a bust. It's a bust. Everyone starts to panic. Like, it's snowing hard where I'm at right now. And I can tell you how this is going to play because I can just hear the tweets that come through. And then all of a sudden, at 30 minutes later, I get the same message from the same people saying, oh, that wasn't fun. It's rain now. It's all gone. So it's an emotional roller coaster. These kind of events are. They're not fair to the snow lovers. Now, for you travelers, you're like, I really don't want to drive in this. Well, you only have to worry about the driving part when it's actually snowing, the bigger flakes portion. And even then, with temperatures likely above freezing in our area especially, it will be slush. Slush is still slick. And that's where it can get a little iffy from the Weather Service on issuing a winter weather advisory because it's not so much for snowfall mounts or icy roads. That there could be slick roads because of the slush. That may prompt them to still issue a winter weather advisory. That's their discretion on that. I'm just letting you know the options they have, and I don't know, depends on who's on duty tonight there to determine if that is what's best fit in the scenario. Been a holiday weekend, there tends to be more caution done to those kind of decisions. But you can see as we get into even at 10 o'clock in the morning, all right, it's mainly dry air, quiet. The Governor's Cup should be good for the Cards and the Cats. Here we go. Now we really don't get into the core of the moisture until about 7 p.m., just after sunset. That means, the majority of tomorrow, not much is going to be happening. It's going to look like it wants to snow several times in the day. The dark clouds, you'll see the Virga at times in the distance, but getting the true reality of the event may take until sunset, if not after. So that's why I think the game is in good shape. Once we get into the evening, this is where the model's high-res already is splitting, or are splitting their ideas and their thoughts as we get into your Saturday night. It's got the freezing line way up here. So if we're going to run into icy roads, snow accumulating on the roads, on cars, and accumulating rapidly, and you get into the bigger amounts of, several inches, a half a foot, maybe up to 10 inches of snow, that kind of ordeal, you got to be on the colder side there, on the other side of the freezing line. So that's going to put a good chunk of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio in the danger zone there. Even the snow in Indiana, while I know it looks pretty, you're going to be above freezing. So what you will get is a very pretty snow with the bigger flakes, but a lot of that melting, especially if it eases back briefly, it'll start melting right away. Or if it can accumulate on the roof and the grass and the cars, which it likely will, falling heavy enough, but the roads will be just slushy. So that's at least manageable to get through and not something that's going to get us stuck in for days or anything like that. This is a minor inconvenience for Saturday evening for this to move in. And then south of that, the warm nose is still pushing in, but it doesn't quite get much more past the parkways. It's going to be really tough, so you should stay for sure all rain. And this particular model, the graph, does never get the rest of the year, including Louisville, to all rain. It wants to hold on to the drier, the air that will cool us down so much. The colder profile wins and keeps the flakes generating like crazy. And the warm layer, it just won't let it touch it. So it just keeps snowing, even though it's fully aware that the actual ground temps have now moved above freezing. It still is providing for a festive, pretty snow that will be falling. And that would be our worry in our area. Again, I'm separating our aspect of the system versus what the rest of Illinois and Indiana and Ohio will deal with. I don't want to get into their stuff. That's a whole other ball game, and that's for their issue to worry about. But for us, a burst of wet snow and minor accumulations and some slush, you bet. I think that's still fair. Now, is the graph model way too cold here with this run and too far south, as you're about to see? Possibly. It moves out, and there's not much really rain with it until we get to overnight and early Sunday. And even then, look at that. The freezing line's coming right back again for another visit. And now any moisture that's lingering can go to flurries. And that's where we watch and see whether or not flurries could allow for a pocket or two of dustings, rooftop dusters kind of deal on your patio furniture. One or two of those could move in during Sunday night, early Monday. Just be aware of that because it could cause a few slick spots. I think it's going to be minor, but that potential is certainly on the table. All right, so that's the graph model. Now let me show you the HER model. All right, this just updated, I believe. So let's advance this a little bit so we get on the same. Okay, here we go. Actually, we back it up a little bit more. No, that was right. Friday night, 8 o'clock. Okay, sorry. A little more in time. All right, here we go with 4:30 in the morning tomorrow. Freezing line left of us or to our west, indicating that most of us are below freezing still. Cloudy, looks like a little bit of Virga, some flakes that are drying up there into the Wabash. Makes sense. It's advanced this to 10 a.m. The freezing line is now on its move out of the area and starting to push more into southern Indiana and Ohio as well. And with Virga, maybe some spotty areas of flakes or even ice pellets trying to fall out of some of this cloud cover early in the day on Saturday, but the air is still, again, going to be quite dry. And then here we go at 2:30 in the afternoon. Now, 2:30 in the afternoon, the HER model would indicate more of a rain setup, which actually would be rain and sleet or ice pellets mixed in. You may hear them driving around town. Majority of it will be rain. But as you're driving, you may hear the dinging sound of some of the ice pellets on your windshield. That would be sleet that is getting involved. That is possible. Very common to see that, by the way. So, but that's snow. It's different. Meanwhile, the snow continues just north of our counties all the way into Indianapolis, and really heavy snow into Illinois, and then rain and maybe even thunder in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Let's advance this a little more. Again, this is 2:30 in the afternoon. Now we get into 8 o'clock at night, and mainly rain for Louisville, 39. Any type of mix, mainly sleet, would be found north of Seymour. All snow for Indy into Ohio. And this is about the end of the system already, 8 o'clock at night. And by the time we get into early wee hours of your Sunday, it's already starting to show the back edge of it moving into our western counties. But look how we kept warming, by the way. We're now at 41 in the middle of the night. So what a wild temperature ride we're going to have. Cold in the morning. We'll go up to maybe 40. We will drop down in the 30s when the sleet and snow potential happens, and then we'll rise right back up again in the 40s during the overnight with that low-level jet winning out. So when you look at the HER model, what's the one thing you notice between the two? I want to see if you guys are paying attention. What stands out to you of the two models I showed? There are multiple things, but what is the big thing that stands out between the two of them? Because that's what I want to help you guys in understanding the process. And I think if you guys can see the same things we are, I think it makes a lot more sense to the storyline we're facing. Okay? I'll give you a second while I'm looking over. Angela says, let your water drip overnight that time of the year. You're right, especially when you get down on those teens. But anytime, you get into the 20s, do a pencil thin little drip, or as Ryan Hoke says, drip drop, whenever you do that. Autumn says rain. Prelude says temperature. Joanne says the air says no snow. The cold line is different, both above freezing, warmer profile. temperature. All right, you guys get it. I'm not going to quiz you and get into all the weeds on it, but I think you guys see that, yes, we never go below freezing throughout the event. It's all about the temperature above our head and how much of that gets pushed away, and that warm flow makes it all raindrops. So as of right now, it's only going to be those areas in southern Indiana that will run the risk for anything frozen, while that temperature profile is a little more sensitive there. So our snow map, I don't think I really need to change it right now. I think this still fits. Kevin will be in later today. He'll look at it and see what the afternoon data is trending toward, if there's any more help from these high-res models. But I still think it's fair that you can get a coating to maybe up to an inch and a spot or two along the Ohio River. Indiana, in this scenario, it's not very even to draw a snow map because you're dealing with pockets of evaporative cooling, or dealing with other areas that have a higher shower, a heavier rain shower in the area. That can also induce a drop in the temperature profile a little closer to the ground. You can get a burst of snow out of that quickly, and then you're going back to rain. So it's going to be very blotchy for Indiana, but I think it's fair to say that you could get some 1 to 2 inch totals in our Indiana counties briefly before it melts away. And anything that falls then can accumulate enough would quickly go to be a slushy type environment. All your bigger snows look to be the north. So far, I've not seen a signal that's going to rapidly increase the snowfall potential to like a half a foot right over us for tomorrow afternoon. And I promise you, we see that trend on the high res data especially, then that's going to be a little concerning. But so far, this is the first look the high res has been able to see of the system, and this is what it's showing. And they're not agreeing. So that tells us, too, that there's still some time for adjustments. But I think we get the theme here. We get the storyline. And I don't want to bore y'all with rambling here about something like this. It's going to be relatively minor. But I think if you're a snow lover, it's going to be pretty for a while there in Indiana. So I hope you get your cameras ready to get some of those flakes, especially when they get a little bit larger. When they get larger, you're almost to the point of going to rain. When they're real small, the dry air is still playing around with you. And it's just Arctic dust almost kind of falling from the sky. Not as much fun. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Very minor stuff. So now we get into what's next. This is what I think a lot of you probably are here for. Here's the Euro again, a little closer view, just showing how it moves along. The Euro, of course, doesn't have as fine of a grid as the high-res data I showed you. Same idea. There's your rain or your freezing line. This is actually the rain snow line aloft. I wish they all matched on every map I show you, so I apologize. But this is not 32 at the ground. This is 32 above our heads. So that just determines rain versus snow. But anyway, it's mainly north of us. Saturday evening, showing that period of rain. A lot of snow, Illinois, Iowa, Chicago, Michigan, Indiana. Oh, they're going to be, yeah. If you have friends or family that are going to rub it in your face with their Facebook pages, posting pictures. It's coming, guys. Get ready. All right, it moves out. Not going to roll out. I like what it does, even the little tail end flurries as it ends right there. I think that's cute. It's on the models a lot. Again, I've only seen it happen a few times, but it's pretty when it does happen. Then we get into the Monday night window here. Okay, this is still a southern wave. The problem that this one still has that has to be sorted out is the handshake. We know we've got energy coming off the Rockies, and what is interesting to see the Euro reflect that so well with actual precipitation under that one piece, a broad area of light snow. Because you're like, wait a minute, why is there a bunch of snow there? It's not even attached to anything, because it's not attached to anything. This is a whole separate system here. And they're cruising along at about the same time, and they're at a red light, and they're just looking over at each other like, hey, what's up? That's that kind of deal these two systems have. They're staring at each other, but whether or not one reaches out and says, hey, shake my hand, and let's become one, that's a good question. And some of the modeling wants to phase them quicker. Some want to take a little bit longer. That makes a big difference on impacts on snow, ice amounts, and the timing, yada, yada, yada. But the storyline is the same. We at least have a system rolling through, and we're cold. That is how we get into the very first rounds here of dealing with wintry weather. Fairly confident with there being a snowpack across Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana from what's happening tomorrow, that this system is going to remain south. And I don't know yet if it's going to allow for this piece to then get a little more south to do the handshake, or will it be just grazing in the Ohio Valley. Even if it did that, even if it wasn't phased, it would still give us snow, just very, very light snow. If you want the bigger snow, you want them to shake hands. It brings in other issues too when it comes to freeze and rain. But if you want any kind of snow at all, they don't have to shake hands. It'll be a very broad, light snow, like an inch, maybe two. But if they shake hands, it can be a little more substantial and significant. So this is Monday evening. So Monday daytime, good. We're going back to work and school with all the chatter about this system, but everyone's going to work and school. We get into Monday night into Tuesday. Now the Euro especially, he's like, wait a minute. Well, I think I do see him. Let me see if I can get off of this exit. Maybe we can meet up at the end of the exit. So they're trying to do their handshake, but it's after I-65. And that will eventually lead to a coastal low at that point. Is it enough time, though? Is there enough interaction to generate enough lift to provide for a pocket of freeze and rain and fairly decent snow rates right along Kentucky and Indiana? And so far, every long-range data I've looked at, it hits it hard over and over and over. It has for 3 days now that there is going to be some type of a handshake that will happen here. The Euro is the only one, actually, it's a little more stubborn about it. So we'll see. The next couple of days will be key, but I think with the snowpack tomorrow being at play, this is going to be a wintry event for the Ohio Valley. And then that'll move out, and then we don't get much of a break. And another one will quickly rotate in. This one's coming in at a very sharp angle, and then it will handshake with the system near the eastern seaboard. So we may be at the end of it as it's shaking hands. We'll see, but still an opportunity to get some type of wintry weather in here till the end of next week and that following weekend. And then moves out, and then look at that. This is where the model ends. Yet another one drops in with another round of snow potentially for the area. It's going to be a very busy December for sure. Okay, so let me show you some of the data I've been looking at, and this is a little weird one. I don't think I've shown this in a long time. This is the Buffkett sounding, and I don't want to get into a lot of detail on it in itself. I was hoping this is going to be a clear image. It's obviously not. But this is the snow potential for Louisville that it sees as we head into Monday night and Tuesday. Notice that it tries to start. You got to read this backwards too. That's the fun thing about Buffkett. So this is actually Monday daytime. This is Monday night, Tuesday morning, and then this is Tuesday afternoon. So you read it backwards, right to left, okay? So in doing so, it hints at a little bit of a mix, mainly just sleet probably, and then quickly goes to snow, moderate to heavy snow, and then tapers down to flurries after that. Its idea of snowfall, you can't read the number. It thinks that this system would have the potential to produce about 6 inches of snow, but only 5.4 would actually be visible. The rest of it would be either blown away or melted away. So interesting. And that was the GFS sounding from the Buffkett, by the way, that indicated that. So I'll be monitoring this data and see what it shows in the coming days. But here's the matrix. Oh, Cameron, you got to love this. Matrix is quite filled in. I helped you out a little bit today. I decided to show each storm system so you could see the confidence in each one by the ensembles. Notice the Saturday snow, fairly high confidence. I mean, there's quite a few that are filled in that we will get something. So when we do that, now we look at the boxes. Well, the boxes are all gray, so it's under an inch. And if you look even carefully, there's a lot of them that are just 0.1, maybe a 0.2 or a 0.4. Very minor amounts. If you go by ensemble forecasting for the Euro, not a whole lot to get too excited about. Very, very minor. For the Monday night and Tuesday one, again, a lot of noise, filled in rapidly. It's got a mix of colors here. A lot of grays for sure, but some darker grays and even some of those blues, indicating now we're getting into advisory level, and in some cases, real close to winter storm potential. Right now, I think advisory level seems to be a little more likely. Once you cross over 4 inches, we start to look at winter storm warning potential on that. But we'll worry about that later. Right now, we just want to make sure this stays filled in and a bit elevated on color there. And I'll look at it the next several days here and then see how that will work. And then you can already see the one for Friday and Saturday, a week from today. Doesn't know on timing very well, but it is a very noisy signal. So light snow at some point is likely to come in our area, and then that signal begins to fade not long after that. So given all that, I've decided by looking over the data that we're going to go with an alert day. And this is going to be for Monday night and Tuesday, as even on the lower end of the scale of 1 to 2 inches of snow at rush hour on Tuesday, we know how that will impact the roadways. And the roads will be much colder by this point, considering we're cold today and we're going to stay cold the next several days. We're likely going below freezing almost every night. So that will keep the temperatures dropping to where even a light snow event will be more of a headache. And if we get something bigger, obviously that's a whole other ordeal that will impact travel. So we'll start it for Monday night to be on guard for the snow moving in. And then we'll be tracking it all day on Tuesday, and it should be out our hair on Wednesday. Some of you are already asking, will there still be 6 spots on Wednesday? Possibly, but we'll worry about that later and see how much actually falls first. And then way too early to flag any alert for Friday and Saturday. And no alert on this Saturday, because I don't see that driving conditions will be heavily impacted right now with the changeover and the warmer ground temps, keeping it slush. There you go. Does that all make sense? Yes, no, maybe. Which model is, sorry, hold on 1 second. It's hard to read your comments sometimes. I have to squint. Which model is most likely to hold on well to snow chances in the wintertime? GFS. Okay, well, GFS has a cold bias, so it tends to hold on to them, but it also, GFS likes to go south on tracks. So sometimes it can miss snow events, and then it corrects itself north, which you've seen many times. You'll see a snow forecast in the deep south, and then suddenly it'll start trending back north and corrects. Euro does pretty good on track. Euro's not bad on that. In terms of phasing, they both have their quirks on that. I'd say usually, I think the Euro does well. The Canadian model, the DPS, that one is a cold bias model. It can do well on sniffing out wintry events. And just kind of a little nugget, whatever the Canadian is showing for that day, say the Canadian's going to be starting in about an hour and a half, its run. It's usually ahead of the Euro by an hour from being produced. Whatever the Canadian does, if there's a change in its track or an aggressive look to it, usually is an indicator the Euro is going to do the same thing. They have similar physics involved in their data. So sometimes the Euro can give you a clue, or the Canadian can give you a clue about what the Euro is about to do. Kind of a little side note there. And icon model, I'm still learning a lot about the German model. It's still a lot to work with in winter season on that one, so I don't have a lot of data to go with it. Usually a lot of meteorologists prefer the NAM model in the short term because NAM can have a warm bias, so sometimes if it has snow in it, then that usually is a strong signal that something's going on. But they all have their little personalities. We just got to sniff through it all. There's so many models. And sometimes we just throw them all out. What'd you say last? What I find is interesting, GFS is wetter for the Tuesday event. The Euro is drier. Yes, because without a phase system, you don't have enough lift to, GFS has so much lift with it being phased, it's pulling in every bout of moisture you can off the Gulf to feed into the system, and you get higher QPF that way. When you get, it can also work against you too. It can provide for thunderstorms on I-20 or I-10, and that can block the deeper moisture from getting to Kentucky, and in the northern part of the snow just disintegrates and becomes flurries and is wiped out. That has bust our forecast many times when you get thunderstorms like that. So we don't want a lot. We want moisture to be pulled in, but we don't want thunderstorms to get in our way and block it. And that's the risk with the GFS. The Euro just doesn't have a fully phased look. So therefore, it doesn't know where it's getting its moisture from other than what is available around it at that time. And that's where it gets light amounts that gets squeezed out. So it's a good question, good observation. The phasing of it all is key, and the moisture plumes. Which models are given overrunning for Tuesday? Anything that's phased is going to give you overrunning, Chris. So GFS, sometimes I see hints on the Canadian showing overrunning that will take place. Didn't get a lot on the severe weather or the freeze and rain talk on this. I do think there will be some freeze and rain involved in this system, but I really want to see that snowpack on Saturday. I want to see the wind coming off of that for Sunday and Monday, how that blows down into our area. How does that impact how this is going to evolve? Will it help in allowing for more suppression? Will it eat away at that snow on the northern side? It looks impressive now on a model, But what if the models are wrong and there's a much more dry air in the northern part? Then what you had just seen there is flurries and not accumulating snow. But I think we're to the point right now that an impactful wintry event, even if it is light, is in the cards. And that's why we want to make sure we get everybody, as we get to the holiday weekend, have fun at the holiday weekend. But as we get back to work in school, this is going to be our focal point. And let's see how this trends for Monday and Tuesday. Prelude, yes. Prelude is a colder, a little more south on the graph model. Yes. Graph wins and loses equally, so there's really no strong suit on the graph. So I'll be watching it. I'm sure you will too, to see how it did with this. Any other questions I can answer? Crystal, you're a little late. That's all right, Crystal. I'm about ready to stop it, and you'll be able to rewatch this all back again. All right. I'm going to leave it at that for now because I feel like I've talked about all this stuff, and it's just an 10-day. What a wild end of November this ramped up to be, right? Yeah, things can change fast, and get used to this. This is the way it's going to be for a while. A lot of all over the place in December's weather pattern, but it's fun. I think it's fun anyway to track it, and it's like a game, right? It's a game to try to figure out the puzzles and the pieces. Everyone's got theories. I have my theories, stuff I've learned in school, stuff I've developed on my own, and it's fun to put them to test and try to understand what is happening. I do think the weather can be sniffed out and identifying patterns to forecast. I don't believe the weather in terms of meteorology will ever be down to the second and right 100% of the time, despite what some may claim. It is impossible, as I always say, because of the chaos theory and the butterfly effect. It's just, that'll never happen, despite what happens in Back to the Future movie, part 2, and timing out the rain. But we can get close. And in bigger events like this, the ability to forecast this has been remarkable in advance. So I love this stuff personally, but it can bite you and you can bust. And I've been wrong. Oh, you guys know I've been wrong my share of times, and that's fine. I'll accept that. But it also means I need to learn from it, what went wrong, and then apply that again to the next event. And hopefully we fine tune this each and every year, right? All right, guys, been a pleasure hanging out with y'all for the past couple of days of the holiday. I got one more show to get through here for midday at 11 a.m. And then I'm going to go home, maybe do some shopping. I don't know. We'll see. And I got a lot of stuff to do here this weekend. Dowie, by the way, is getting a haircut tomorrow. He's going to get his hair did. So it'll be nice to see what he looks like after that. And I'll be back on Monday. I'll be back on Monday right ahead of the system for the alert day. And it'll be fun to track it together. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. And if you see anything really nice and cool, buy it for me as well. All right. I may pay you back. Maybe I'll pay you back. Let's snow.